Welcome to Golf and the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, he is Connor Evers, and today we are capping our little series on the most important decisions for planning your overseas golf trip. But before we get there, Connor, great to see you as always, man. It's been an awesome week of field reports and just feedback in general from our members who are over there traveling. What's the latest and greatest on your side of the screen?
You are exactly correct, DJ. Field reports are coming in. The weather has been spectacular overseas. We're recording this kind of the end part of April of 2026. And a few have even said, hey, we're wearing shorts and a pullover. And we've been harping on that and talking about the off season of the spring. And sure enough, comes to fruition that a lot of these groups are grabbing, great weather. I mean, it was in the kind of lower 60s a few of the days, which has been spectacular. So all good, but also wanted to do a shout out to some members that have recently traveled from Capital City Country Club, Kiowa Island Club, and Sage Valley. So looking forward to hearing their field reports as well. And a really special one too. Shout out to Jay Askew, PJ Professional from Boston Golf Club, that put together helped me, and we worked on a fantastic trip over to Scotland for his members. They just returned, and a couple of the members actually got kilts and played in kilts. They didn't just get them just to get them; they got them and played golf in them. So they played the old course one day, and the following day they played Muirfield 36 holes. So what a cool treat. Some great photos that we got from the group, and these guys did not skimp on it. I mean, it was legit kilts, and I got the photos and they circulated amongst the company. So it was really neat. It's just fun when those stories come about. So, but all good things. A lot of groups are just having fun overseas, which is all we're about.
It is absolutely what it's all about. I mean, a hat tip to Boston Golf Club's driver host, David Calder. He was sending me photos on WhatsApp throughout the trip. And it's like, first off, do they make clouds in Scotland anymore? Because it was clear blue sky, like every picture he was sending me. But then he sends that picture from the first tee at the old course of the two gents in their kilts. And it's like, so oh my gosh, these guys did it right. I mean, you talk about going all out. And really great stuff. And yeah, great. Obviously with the clubs traveling, I pulled up the list earlier. But as I was making this list, I only just grabbed a handful, and there were something like 35 different clubs represented over, the next week or two that are going overseas. It just never ceases to amaze me how many clubs, our folks are representing when they're heading over. But really awesome all around. Cannot wait to see more field reports, as I've been doing lately. Listen, if you're traveling, headed to Scotland or Ireland or England, wherever you're going, I don't care whether you're traveling with H&B or not. Send us your field reports, golf@haversham.com. We'd love to throw one on the screen here in a future episode. And then the last but not least, before we get right back into it, is tip of the cap to our friends at Royal Lytham, hosting the 2028 Open. Congratulations to everyone there. They've put in a lot of work here over the last few years in an effort to get the Open back. It's great to see that effort has paid off. And that's going to be 3 Opens for England's Gulf Coast in 6 years. Why this region is a 4th or 5th trip destination, I will just never understand. England's Gulf Coast belongs higher on your list, and the 2028 Open is just another reason why. And of course, it's headed to Birkdale this year, so great to see them getting the spotlight. But back to today's episode. We are capping our 3-part series on the most important decisions for planning your golf trip overseas. If you haven't listened to part 1 and 2, go back, give them a listen. Part 1 deals sort of more with the foundational core decisions, the type of group, who's going to go, are you going to enlist a golf travel company or plan it yourself? Part 2 deals more with kind of the X's and O's of the trip. Where are you going to play? How much golf you're going to play? Are you going to have a driver host or self-drive? Today's topics are going to kind of bridge the last one, as well as some decisions that are usually made much closer to departure, kind of the finer points, if you will, as you get closer to it, that that in the end will absolutely have an impact on your experience. But Connor, let's just get right back into it. I think we're on, I guess this is decision number 11.
Here we go. So next one up is accommodation and where you'll stay. Obviously, this is a big factor of your trip, and there's kind of different twofolds. I guess the kind of quality and the type of hotel or lodging you want to stay at, along with the duration of drive to your lodging at night. So we'll start with kind of the differences. So a lot of the lodging overseas, there's some options that at least we will offer that has shared accommodation. So Royal Golf Apartments up in Dornick, right? So they've got a 2-bedroom apartment. You can twin the rooms. You can get 8 total people in those, which is really nice. They're right by the first tee of Royal Dornick, so you've got more of kind of a B&B, if you will, Airbnb feel from that standpoint. Other hotels, maybe it's a 5-star property such as the Old Course Hotel or the Balmoral or the Marion Hotel in Dublin. You know, a lot of those hotels, they're more luxurious, you know, high touch points of service. They have spas, different things like that. So kind of figure out what is important to the group and what you want out of the accommodations and kind of what the goal is of that. And the other thing too kind of depends on your flexibility when it comes to, you know, how many different hotels you're going to stay at on your trip along with the duration of them. So I give the example too, like for the Southwest Ireland per se, if you want to play everything from Lahinch to Ballybunion all the way down to Old Head, that is going to, you know, require about 3 hotel stops on your trip. Potentially, if you're going back to Dublin, that could be 4. So there's a lot of running around, and sometimes that option is just not applicable to a lot of groups. You want to maybe stay in 2. Well, if you do, that may change the routing of the courses or just the makeup of the trip in general. So maybe if it's 2 and you want to hit Dublin and Killarney, well, stay in Killarney and then stay in Dublin. It's 2 hotel jumps. Maybe it's 4 nights in Killarney, 3 nights in Dublin. It's less moving around. Now, again, the downfall of that is you're probably not going to be able to play all those courses. You know, a hinge from Killarney is 2.5, 3 hours. Old Head is an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes, depending on traffic and all those good things. So again, you're probably not going to be able to play all the courses. Again, your type of accommodations and where you stay can dictate that. And then also, you know, drive times. A lot of groups may just want to be as close as you possibly can to the golf courses. So give you another example of, say, Scotland. The tough thing is if groups maybe have Gullin, North Berwick, and Muirfield on their list, great. Well, kind of your lodging option is either staying in Edinburgh or staying out in East Lothian. East Lothian, you're 5 to 10 minutes from the golf. Incredible. You don't have to drive that long. You don't have to worry about the Edinburgh traffic getting out to golf or coming home at night, etc. You know, you're not in the city. There's less to do from a kind of touring perspective. Still good restaurants, still good lodging opportunities out there, but it's kind of what you make of it. Again, it was important for the group, and maybe that drive time, the 40 to 50-minute drives to and from the golf courses, is worth you being in the city for the night. So again, it just depends on your flexibility, your group's preferences when it comes to the type of lodging and where you like to stay. And once you kind of get a feel of those preferences, then, you know, choosing accommodations is pretty easy from that standpoint. But just asking questions again and what the preferences are.
That's a great point. I mean, and this is where it's so vital if you're working with a golf travel company to have a partner that is willing to ask those questions and that is willing to kind of work through these different scenarios with you, as opposed to just here's your 6-night 5-round package and you're staying at these 2 places. As you just explained, there is a wide range of options, and really what it comes down to more than anything is what does your group want. And so it's so important to have that flexibility. You know, a lot of groups, they come to us, I hear you say sometimes, where we don't care about where we stay, you know, we just want the golf. And it's like, you say that now, but when you get overseas, it matters. You care about when you stay. It takes on a different form once you're there. It's easy to say we don't care about the hotel, you know, when you're planning. It's a whole different animal when you're living it. And so hugely important decision. My next one is caddies. So caddies is on the decision list because you need to decide up front whether you're going to be taking caddies for your rounds. You know, at most of these clubs, the caddies are independent contractors. They're local members. There's limited numbers of them to go around. You know, they can't really be guaranteed. You're essentially requesting them. And because there's those limited numbers, you've got to get a request in advance. It's not like you can just roll up and say, I'd like to take a caddy. There might be 1 or 2 places overseas where that works. Anywhere else, you roll up and you haven't requested a caddy and you ask for one, you're going to be pushing a trolley. So get that request in advance. Decide what your plan is for your rounds. But equally important is if you've changed your mind. Maybe you requested caddies up front and you have now decided, that arrival day round at King Robert the Bruce, I'm just going to get a push cart. Okay, fine. But you need to cancel that request because many of the clubs have now instituted a cancellation policy for caddy rounds. So you would be on the hook for the caddy fee if you just show up and say, never mind. And look, let's face it, that's poor form anyway. You really don't want to be that person. So if you have put in a request and you need to change your mind, that's fine, but do so in advance. If you show up and you've got a request on, you just stick with it. If you're traveling with H&B, you don't really need to worry a whole lot about this. We request caddies by default for our groups because literally, basically everybody wants a caddy. But we also mold or change those requests as needed because sometimes folks do decide, hey, in my arrival round, I'm just gonna do it myself. Okay, no big deal. We update those requests as needed. But I think the last point on the caddies, aside from the decision, is take the caddies. They mean so much to your overall experience. We've mentioned this before, but you have invested so much into this trip. You've waited a long time for it. Caddies are just not the place to start to try to capture some savings, what they're going to deliver back to you besides just saving you some shots in terms of memories and stories and what have you. It's really kind of priceless. And so, take the caddies is really what it comes down to, but get those requests in advance.
It's a great point, DJ. And something else I'll add that I guess we've seen in the last, I don't know, year, 18 months or so, that a lot of the clubs are, in both Scotland, Ireland, and England, at least now, some of them are requiring at least a 4 caddy for a lot of visiting groups. So a lot of times you have at least that, and then you can, depending on the area and such, double bags or single bags from there, which is nice. And to your point,
yeah,
absolutely get them. They add so much value, to your point, not even just helping you find your golf ball and finding lines and stuff, but they just make the trip. And so many of our post expedition surveys come back and say, oh my goodness, the caddies were fantastic. Best one I've ever had. I'm friends with them now. I'm Facebook friends, or we text on WhatsApp, et cetera. So they kind of become a part of the journey, if you will. So next segment up here is packing and kind of what to pack. We've had another episode on this before of exactly, what to pack, what not to pack. So I'd recommend all the listeners to go back to that for a little bit more details. But kind of the short version of it, pack less clothes than what you think. We actually just got a survey, I think yesterday. I don't even mention to you, DJ, but literally the guy said, the gentleman said in the survey, pack less because you're going to buy merchandise. I mean, I'm like, we've been saying this the whole time, and we totally get it, but pack less. You're going to buy merchandise. To going on a week-long expedition across the pond and going in any of these golf shops and not getting a golf shirt I don't think anyone has ever done that. So you're gonna buy some type of merchandise. So save some room for that. Quote from one of our members from Detroit Golf Club: pack half the clothes, but make sure you have all 4 seasons covered, including good rain gear. I literally experienced all 4 seasons in a single round. And there's so much truth to that. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can. Definitely pack some solid rain gear when it comes to that. My other big thing is when you do pack your golf bag, make sure you bring 2 pairs of golf shoes. Don't bring one, even if it's a quick trip. Say if it's 5 nights and 4 rounds of golf, bring a second pair, because just in case if it rains, you may have that round the next day, and you don't want to put your feet into wet, cold golf shoes. You want to have a fresh pair. So have at least 2 to kind of interchange just in case that becomes an issue. I think overall, whatever you think, maybe have everything kind of laid out. I like to do that. Lay everything out on your bed of what you think you'll need to pack, and keep back a couple extra sweaters or a couple extra pants, because you can reuse those going to dinners and stuff. And again, I would go back to our past podcast about packing, and you'll get some more information on that. So it's kind of the last thing there.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I would add, I think we mentioned in the most recent one about packing, because we redid it. It's so important, and
yes,
we run into it so often that we actually revisited the topic of packing, and we'd mentioned packing a couple days worth of clothes and your golf glove and a sleeve of golf balls or what have you in your carry-on bag, so that if you lose if your luggage goes away, that's your insurance policy. But it's funny what you said about laying out all the clothes. There's that old phrase that's something like, if you're going to travel, lay out all your clothes and all your money, and then take half the clothes and twice the money.
Yeah,
I think that's I don't remember who said it, but I've always remembered that. And
sure,
I'm picturing you laying out all your clothes, getting ready to go on a trip. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So my last one is the good life. And listen, we've talked so much around this podcast. I mean, heck, it's the name of the podcast. Do not sleep on the plans off the course. So whether it's dinner reservations, distillery tours, any kind of sightseeing that you're going to do, spa treatments, those should not wait to the last minute or while you're over. Get some stuff lined up in advance. If you're working with a golf travel company, hopefully they're making those for you. If they're not, obviously we're doing it for everyone here at H&B, but get at least some recommendations that you can have some info to go off of. But get a few lined up. Restaurants overseas, we've mentioned, they are smaller than they are here typically. The popular ones book up way in advance. I think the example I would give is if you're in St. Andrews in July, and if you have a party of 8 and you think you're going to roll up to 18 St. Andrews at the Rusacks, forget it. If you think you're going to roll up to the Jigger Inn and sit on the patio, forget it. It's just how it is. So get a few reservations booked. You don't got to book every night, but at least have a few lined up so that you've got your key places lined ahead of time. But decide how much of this is important to you. Is it just going to be some dinners? Do you have an evening off where you want to look into doing a distillery tour or something a little more in depth? But plan for it in advance. If you're trying to wing it in the moment, it's not ideal. It's just adding a layer of stress that you don't need once you're over. So talk about the good life with your group. Get it, kind of come to a consensus on what might be important to everyone, and line some things up in advance.
Nice. It's great advice. And yeah, to your point, you can go to St. Andrews or Edinburgh and think, oh, my group's gonna be able to get a table, and you may even be thinking that, like, oh, we're in the off season, we're in April or coming into mid-May or even in October. There are still issues when it comes to that. Even if you're a smaller group before, even in the off seasons, I've seen multiple groups when I was in October, groups trying to go into 18. Your example, I was up there having a couple drinks after playing the old course in October, and there was a couple groups that weren't able to get in. They're smaller, like 2 or 3 top. So you just even if you think you're fine because you're in the off season, you're not. It's busy everywhere year round, especially specifically St. Andrews. And you were over in March. You said it was just pumping with people, which is interesting. So kind of next thing up is where to next. It's an interesting one that we'd like to talk about of, where your trip is next. And kind of this idea comes from, you're overseas, you're having a wonderful time. Maybe it's your first trip, and we've talked about it. Links golf is addicting, and you want to go back as soon as possible. And everyone's thinking, when are we going to do this next time? And that's just the formulation of a fantastic trip. You're with your buddies and the group, et cetera, and you just want to go over again. When is it again? And kind of may sound counterintuitive of we're on this, we may to start paying deposits now for maybe 2 years from now or a year and a half from now, but that's just the nature of planning these trips. And perfect example kind of this is we just had Evanston Golf Club over, some members from there, and the PJ Professionals traveled with their members. They had an excellent trip. They were in Dublin, up in Northern Ireland as well. And, they're looking at the itinerary, I'm looking at this and they're like, this is going to be a fantastic trip. We just know it is. We want to start doing maybe an international trip, then a international, domestic. That's what their kind of travel plans are going forward, which is fantastic. So the next one will be 2028. And before the group even traveled, we're working with the professionals. It's like, all right, let's put this, Muirfield and St. Andrews trip together, for the April-May timeframe of 2028. So it's in the PJ Professionals back pocket. Everyone's excited. So when that question comes up, where to next? Where are we going to? It's like, well, here's the trip that we're probably going to go on. And then you can start planning again, because these usually trips, if you're on it in that year, you can't get that, Barkey course trip the following year because everything's going to be sold out. So it does give you some time to recruit and get the group ready. But again, because the excitement's there, the trip could be even filled before you even get on the plane to come home. So that's kind of the next thing I would say of when that decision is where to next.
Yeah, that's great. You're right. If you're on a trip in July and you come home, by that point, a lot of stuff is off the table.
Yeah.
You need to have started the conversation before you've even left. Really, you needed to start the conversation, before the golf season's even started. But that's a whole different topic. But that's a great point. And yeah, it's a little counterintuitive to be doing that. But if you're starting it early, you're then lined up and you're not coming home and saying, oh man, well now we're waiting for a whole nother year. So get it done in advance is a good point. So listen, that's going to kind of wrap up. We covered 15 different decisions. If you have listened to all 3 of these, thanks. Obviously you stuck through, 3 separate episodes on kind of a checklist, if you will. So, good on you for doing that. Hopefully you found it of value. And listen, these decisions, I mean, some of them are bigger than others, but they will all impact your experience at one point or another, either before or during your trip across the pond. So hopefully they've been of help. As usual, we'll drop some guides and so forth into the show notes. If you have any questions or if you've got some field reports from your recent travels, send them to us, golf@haversham.com, or send us a DM on social media. Connor and I will be back again soon with a fresh new topic this time. But until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.